It's always been a problem for CIOs and organisations that technology is fragmenting, it's proliferating. And CIOs have struggled with this in the past, and by and large, most large organisations have a strategy of being anti-proliferation. They have a standard operating environment which they want to lock down in order to prevent proliferation in end-user devices and applications, because proliferation equals complexity, it equals integration issues, it equals security risks. And most CIOs and most organisations have an IT strategy which is explicitly anti-proliferation. They want to stop it, to block it, to ban it. And up until 4 or 5 years ago, that pretty much worked, because most people could understand the necessity of the standard operating environment, and the rate of change was such that organisations could pretty much keep on top of the standard operating environment, and most employees were happy with that. We're now in a world where the rate of proliferation of these technologies for devices, for applications, so cloud computing, software as a service, the App Store, Google Apps, etc., and also the sources of data that people use. So those three things: devices, applications, and data. The rate of proliferation of these technologies is now accelerating exponentially. And they're surprisingly useful and relevant to the way people do their work. So it's no longer acceptable for organisations to ban and block the latest generation of technologies just because they want to keep a nice, tidy, standard operating environment. These things are driving innovation, and employees and organisations have a legitimate demand to be innovative. So we use the term proliferative innovation to describe the ways of thinking about how you can be innovative whilst trying to harness this proliferation of devices, applications and data, rather than just trying to ban and block it. Proliferative is a term that's not used in the IT industry. It actually comes from the medical field, and it's usually associated with the proliferative growth of cells, which is cancer. So most CIOs tend to see this proliferation as a kind of cancer, like it's proliferating out of control, it's causing risks and harm to the organisation. So we use that term because we'd like to make the point that innovation in the future is going to be about taking advantage of this proliferation and harnessing it and guiding it in sensible directions, rather than just trying to kill it. So this world of proliferative innovation is, the label is Ovum's term for how CIOs and IT managers need to think about this. They need to embrace the notion of proliferation and accept the fact that that being proliferative in terms of the adoption of new technologies is not necessarily a bad thing. Indeed, it can drive innovation. So the first building block is really a concept of accepting the reality of this, and the fact that it's probably going to accelerate in the future rather than diminishing as a problem. So if you believe that, then it's futile trying to manage the whole problem with old style thinking. To change our thinking to more is more, and therefore build technologies which insulate different layers within the organisation from the effect of that proliferation, and management techniques which enable the IT organisation to have a more constructive relationship with its users in regard to how this proliferation can be harnessed on the one hand and managed on the other. So it's a mixture of technology approaches such as virtualization, desktop virtualization specifically, and management approaches around particularly the use of social computing to engage with the workforce in a conversation about these issues, rather than simply to send out a policy to ban and block.